Hello everyone, I'm Mihoko. This is the Manyoshu Part Three. For getting the basic knowledge about the Manyoshu, please watch Part 1. All the poems in the Manyoshu are composed during 130 years from the early 7th century to the middle of 8th century. During this period, when the emperor changed, the capital was moved to a new location. The capital was relocated more than 10 times and many of them were in present Nara prefecture. In Nara, there are a number of buildings constructed those days, as well as abundant nature that reminds us of the ancient times. In this video, you'll appreciate 13 poems and see the simple nature of Nara prefecture today. I hope you'll enjoy it. Lady Nukata was one of the great poets in the Manyoshu. She was loved by two emperors. First, she got married to Emperor Tenmu when he was still a prince and had a daughter with him. Later, she became the romantic relationship with Emperor Tenji after separating from her ex-husband. Emperor Tenmu and Emperor Tenji were brothers with the same parents. At that time, it was customary for husbands to visit their wives. Lady Nukata composed a poem while waiting for Emperor Tenji. Sudare in her poem refers to blinds, and it was brought to Japan from China during this period. Kimi matsu aga koi yoreba waga yado no sudare ugokashi aki no kaze fuku. Waiting impatiently, with my heart longing for you. Then the bamboo blind swayed. Is that you? Only the autumn wind is blowing. Prince Shiki was born as a seventh son of Emperor Tenji. In his days, polygamy, the custom of having more than one wife at the same time, was common. His father, Emperor Tenji, had several wives, and there were struggles for power among the families. By staying out of the political conflict, Prince Shiki was able to live his whole life as a man of culture. His social status was low for the rest of his life. Prince Shiki has an excellent appreciation of nature, and all 6 of his poems in the Manyoshu are considered as masterpieces. When accompanying the emperor on his journey, Prince Shiki composed a poem, One Chilly Dusk. 足べゆく鴨の羽貝に霜降りて、寒き夕べは大和潮もほゆ。This chilly dusk, dark swim along the reedy shore, with frost between the wings, makes me miss my hometown, Yamato. In the Manyoshu, there are 1,700 poems about plants, and the bush clover has the biggest number of 137. People enjoy viewing bush clovers in autumn. As a deer always nestled up to the bush clover flowers, bush clovers were believed to be the wife of the deer. Prince Yuhara was the son of Prince Shiki. Like his father, he seemed to have lived as a man of culture by staying out of the political world. He composed a poem about a crying male deer beside the bush clovers. 秋萩の塵のまがいに呼び立てて、亡くなる鹿の声の春けさ。Autumn bush clovers fluttering down ceaselessly. A male deer calls out for his mate to come. Its cries echo far away. Prince Aki is said to be the grandson of Prince Shiki. When accompanying the emperor on his excursion and passing through the Sea of Ise, Prince Aki composed a poem. 伊勢の実のおきつ白波花にもが、包みて芋が家ずとにせん。White waves swarming off the coast of Ise, with their flowers to be a gift of bouquet for my dear wife. The life of Prince Atsumi is unknown. He composed a poem thinking of the small yellow roses blooming on the banks of the river in his hometown. 河津なく神波川に影見えて、今か桜ん山吹の花 casting their shadows on the water of the Kamnabi River, where the frogs are croaking. I wonder if the small yellow roses are blooming now. In the old days, the croaking of frogs was described in various forms of Japanese poetry. The type of frogs mentioned in the poems is the frog called kajika. Its beautiful voice is different from that of other frogs. Listen to its beautiful singing voice. kakinomotohitomaro was a poet employed by the court and was considered the greatest poet of the Manyoshu. He was excellent in composing both long and short poems. He has been known as saint of poetry for generations to come. One of his wives lived in the Makimuku area of Nara prefecture. The Makimuku area still retains a rich natural environment. He often visited the area and composed poetry. When his wife passed away, he was saddened and composed a poem. 牧向の山辺豊見てゆく水の皆輪のごとし世の人我は Rolling sound of river falling through Mount Makimuku. Bubbles appear and disappear. That's what we are in this floating world. Sanuchigami was a low-ranking female official. She and her husband lived in the capital, but they had to be separated because her husband was exiled to a distant place. He was apparently punished for marrying Sanuchigami because of her social status. The Manyoshu contains 63 poems exchanged by the couple. There is no record of whether they were ever able to meet again. Here is a poem Chigami sent a poem to her husband in exile. あがせ子が帰りきまさん時のため命の子さん忘れたまうな For the day you come back here, I'll hold out for life. So please, my dear, forget me not. Nakatomi no Yakamori was Chigami's husband. He was a law courtier. His 40 poems are listed in the Manyoshu, and here is one. あがみこそ関山越えてここにあらめ心は芋により西物を Yes, my body is here, crossing the mountains and checkpoints. Yet my heart is there with you, staying in the capital. I'll never leave you. Otomotabito was born into the prestigious Otomo clan. He was an aristocrat, politician, and a poet. He was involved in power struggles and was unable to play an active role in the central government. He spent 5 years serving as a governor-general of one province in Kyushu Island and formed a great poetry circle there. He loved sake and composed many poems about it. He often enjoyed sake with his friends on the plain of Yasu. When one of his subordinates, who was also his drinking buddy, was transferred to the capital, Tabito sent him a parting poem. 君がため上市町酒安ののに一人や飲まん友なしにして酒 I brewed for you will be drinking it alone on the plain of Yasu, since you, my friend, will be leaving here soon. Lady Otomo of Sakanoue is the half-sister of Tabito. She was a great female poet along with Lady Nukata. The Manyoshu contains a total of her 84 long and short poems, making her the third largest in number. She seems to have lots of love affairs, so she composed many poems about love. This is one of them. 夏の野の茂みに咲ける姫百合の知らえぬ恋は苦しきものそ Like a scarlet lily, alone in the summer bush, scarcely being known, no matter how much I wish, my love for you to be noticed. Otomo no Yakamochi was born as a son of Otomotabito, and he spent his younger years in Kyushu Island, where his father was posted. He had been involved in several political conflicts, and he was not politically favored in the center of the court. He served as a governor in several provinces. His mother died early, so his aunt, Lady Otomo of Sakanoue, raised him. Yakamochi received instruction in poetry from her and married her daughter. The poem he composed in 759 is recorded as the last poem in the Manyoshu. His graceful and delicate depiction of nature is highly acclaimed. 我が宿のいささ村竹吹く風の音の加速劇この夕べかも In the dusk of the evening, the wind is blowing with a faint rustling sound through the small bamboo grove in my garden. Of the approximately 4,500 poems in the Manyoshu, almost half of them were composed by unknown people. I'll introduce two of those. The first poem describes the excitement of having visited the famous place for the first time. The second poem is about cherry blossoms. Along the Yoshino River in Nara prefecture, there is the area called Mutsuta. In the area of Mutsuta, the Yoshino River has a stagnant pool. In the ancient times, Mutsuta was a famous place that many people wanted to see. One visitor composed a poem when he saw it for the first time. 音に聞き、目には未だ見ぬ吉野川。むつたの淀を今日見つるかも。Heard a lot of talk, but never actually seen it. I'm finally here today. The stagnant water of the Yoshino River, Mutsuta. 桜花、時は過ぎねど見る人の、こうる盛りと、今し散る蘭。Cherry blossom are falling, though still in the prime. I wonder if they are thinking, now is the time to be spared the most. In the ancient times, people admired cherry blossoms, but plum blossoms were more popular than cherry blossoms. In the Manyoshu, there are 119 poems about the plum blossoms, while there are 42 poems about cherry blossoms. Finally, you'll see cherry blossoms and natural scenery in Nara prefecture today.